Welcome everyone. Every Wednesday we try to learn a little bit from the holy Noam Elimelech. This week's Parshas Emor. So let's see what we can find from the Heilige Rebbe Melech as we try to open up the Sefaria. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, Noam Elimelech is not saved on the Sefaria app, so you have to go to the Sefaria website, and it takes a few minutes. So this week's Parshas Emor, which is Leviticus chapter 23, 24. It includes instructions for the Kohanim, for the priests, as well as about the Jewish holidays. So it also includes the mitzvah of counting the Omer, which is a timely thing. For example, as I'm recording this on Tuesday, Hayom Shloshim Yom Shehem Arba Shvuos Shnei Yomim Omer. Today is 30 days, which are 4 weeks, and 2 days of the Omer. Let's see what we can find from the Heilige Rebbe Melech in this week's Sedra. This is good, the first one. So Zok the Heilige Rebbe Melech, Emor Kahanim B'mar Tolehem. Speak unto the priests and say unto them. Again, Leviticus 23. Yesh loimer al kefil lashon Emor B'marta. So all of the commentaries ask, why does it say Emor and then Amarta? Say, and you should say Mitchil neforish pasuk darba laharon. So we can first start and explain the verse. It says, speaking to Aaron and to his sons, and they should be crowned from the holy things of the children of Israel. There are two colors, types, categories of saints. There are saints who are sanctified from their ancestors, and since their parents or their ancestors were holy people, and they were pious, and they had perfected themselves, so the Torah returns to its old lodging place, as our sages say. Even it might be many generations, so even if my own family is not quite the same, my parents, my father wasn't Jewish, and my mother is on his own side, as her own way, but her parents were Erlechiden, and going back further, right? We found the Yichus going back to the Changaruv, Kruleruv, to Chavas Yor and Maral, Shlag Kodesh, other tzadikim. So, Termach Seres al-Chsan Yishalom. There's another type of saint who are called Nazarites because of their abstinence from themselves, even though their parents were very poor in their connection and knowledge of God. Nonetheless, the children were able to lift themselves up and be on a higher spiritual level than their parents, which also is the same mechina by us. So we have both. But so those type of saints that are on their own, they don't fall so quickly from their sacred levels. Does this move? Where did it go? Ki ein lahem al mashi yismoichu. Oh, because they don't have anyone to rely on. And that makes them very humble. And that's why, like you see, Bali Tshuva and Gerim tend to be very frum, because they don't have anything to fall back on, so they're very afraid of losing what they have. As opposed to someone who grew up in a pious environment feels he could rest on his laurels, But the holy saints who are sanctified from their ancestry of even though they're filled with Torah and mitzvahs and piety because of the merit of their ancestors, which aids them in their devotions, nonetheless, sometimes they can become arrogant because of their ancestry, because of their pedigree, and be distracted and have ulterior motives, and that could cause them to fall from their spiritual level. So that's why the scripture says, "Speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, perish." What does it mean? This represents the archetype, which it applies to the priests themselves, but of anyone with any type of yichus, of a pedigree, whether it's the priestly pedigree or rabbinical pedigree, that they're called by this archetype of the priest, the son of Aaron, because they are the children of the saints. They have to be very careful not to think about their yichus, about their pedigree from their ancestry. Rather, they have to do just like the Bali Tshuva, that they have to make themselves like Nazarites and practice abstinence for themselves, a new type of abstinence that is novel from themselves and not just because their parents, there's no such thing as from birth. They should choose for themselves the good path. It's like the Pizetzner, the Eish Kodesh, he wrote a private diary, I think called Tzavas Ruz, and he wrote on his 40th birthday. He'd been a Rebbe already for a long time. His father was much older. His father passed away. Elimelech was his father, Elimelech Shapiro, and his father was very, I think called the Derech Elimelech so anyway, or Divrei Elimelech. Derech Elimelech is the Piasetzner himself, but the Divrei Elimelech was the father of the Piasetzner. And so the Piasetzner aligned the Gavorno Rebbe Zaya Ying, and he accomplished a lot in his youth. And when he turned 40 years old, he wrote in his diary, "Now I'm ready to become to convert to Judaism, to become a Ger Tzedek." What do you mean, become a Ger Tzedek? He's not only is a Yid, he's a Rebbe Shekin. Doesn't matter. Even a B'nai Shel Kedoshim has to find the derech from himself and be in the bechina of a Baal Tshuva. It's like the story. There was a Yingerman went to Ger Rebbe. Ger Rebbe asked him, "Where do you learn?" He said, "I learn in Or Sameach, but I'm not a Baal Tshuva." And Ger Rebbe said, "Why not?" Right? So anyway, they have to choose on their own the proper path. That's why he says, "Speak unto Aaron and to his sons that they should separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel." But it means to say that they should be Nazarites, they should practice abstinence on their own, and they should also be just as careful as the Bali Tshuva. They shouldn't rest on their laurels. They should have something from inside themselves that generates their piety and their faith. They shouldn't think about the merit of their ancestors. because they shouldn't become arrogant, God forbid, even the slightest amount because of their ancestry. Because every haughty heart is the abomination of the Lord, it says, I believe in the Proverbs. That's what it says, you should not desecrate my holy name, that they are sanctifying me. And this is the meaning of speak unto the priests and say unto them. Emor v'marta. Why does it say and say to them? It's a hint to these two spiritual levels. That you have to go and repeat over them. You have to repeat this to them many times, that they should not think that the merit of their ancestors is helping them, because then they could become arrogant, and if they're arrogant, they can't accomplish anything. Meaning the saints can do great spiritual work through their prayer and so forth, but that's only if they're humble. So it ruins everything, the arrogance. It's like, yeast, the chametz, it leavens the whole batch. That's the meaning of you should speak unto them. That they should not pay any attention to the merit of their ancestors, only themselves. And that's the speaking that we say unto them. Excuse me. They should look at themselves as if they don't have any ancestral merit at all. And that's what it says to the soul. They should not, meaning the dead body, they should not become impure to their people. Meaning through their people, that's a reference to their ancestry and their ancestral pedigree. They can become impure to the soul. And that's why this concept is repeated so much. And they should develop a habit of humility, and then they choose the proper path for us to and that'll be good for them. Alright, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later. Okay, how do I turn this thing off? This one?